Fans are so handsome, they'll make themselves comfortable inside or out. And so well made, they'll weather the weather for many years to come. Our staff can consult you on the right choices. And Lucy, for sure, can show us the sofa that's the most comfortable. Make the most of your outdoors. Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
Only on ESPN Plus.
Coming soon exclusively to ESPN Plus. Man in the Arena, Tom Brady. 22 seasons.
We outworked you. And when the chance came, we outwilled you.
10 Super Bowl appearances.
He had one goal in mind. Go and win Super Bowls.
Tom Brady like you've never heard him. Featuring Rob Gronkowski.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. Former Browns receiver Odell Beckham Jr. on waivers. Any NFL team can put a claim in on him and pay him the $7.25 million remaining on his contract this season. If he goes unclaimed by today's 4 Eastern deadline, he becomes an unrestricted free agent, can sign with any team. If that happens, Cleveland has to pay OBJ $4.25 million this season. ESPN's Dan Graziano reporting the Browns and All-Pro offensive guard Wyatt Teller agreed to a 4-year, $56.8 million extension. Since Teller's arrival, the Browns' offensive line has been among the NFL's most dominant units. The NBA reviewing the actions of Nuggets star Nikola Jokic in last night's win over the Heat. The reigning league MVP could be facing a suspension or fine. He aggressively blindsided Miami power forward Markieff Morris from behind in retaliation to a hard foul. He was then ejected.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Overall, a beautiful Tuesday across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. We get to enjoy plenty of sunshine, temperatures climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s, only dropping into the upper 40s and lower 50s as we head into the overnight. Expect a little more cloud cover through your Wednesday afternoon, but overall, Wednesday's going to be really nice. Again, temperatures climbing into the lower 70s, dropping into the low and mid 50s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Eli Gold of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. A new contract and expanded playoffs with the same results. Listen to Alabama football on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Who wants coffee? Anybody wants coffee?
Can you get me off the hook? Roll type say.
The tire's tired.
He ain't good looking, but he sure ain't shy. He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Tide and Tiger Land, nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Testosterone high today. Yeah, Tom's a man, he's got the plan, he's really got it made. What a wife he's got, she's smoking hot, check out the junkyard babe. When everything is said and done, no one can beat his show. He's a high-tech redneck, Tony Soprano. If you love sports without the fluff, he's got the master plan. Cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham, yeah.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to a Top 10 Tuesday in the Doghouse. And you know what? Since today is, college football playoff poll day, I got my own for a Tuesday Top 10 for you today, so we'll give you that in a little bit. Now, phone lines are open. Feel free to jump in. 256-5764. 97.7. It's 256-5764-97.7. And I got to tell you, we have a slammed show today. So we're going to see when we get these lines opened up. They are open now if you want to jump in. Now you can always text the show at 732-9TA-SHOW. That's 732-982-7469. That's a great way to communicate with us. Now, my personal Twitter feed is at Thom Abraham Show. Lots of good stuff there. While the station's feed is at 97.7 ESPN. Lots of information there as well. We are on the Twitch and the Facebook at 97.7 ESPN, where you can watch the show as well. it's a layered day today because it's going to be gorgeous. It was 38 degrees this morning when I was bumping around when I first got up. And so I went T-shirt, I went hoodie, zip hoodie, because it's going to be like in the mid-70s later on today. So it's one of those days where you got to kind of, strip off layers as the day goes on. It's an absolutely spectacular day today. If I could, I'm looking out the studio windows here. Beautiful windows in the studio. I mean, you can see outside in the red trees and all the changing and the cobalt blue skies and everything. I take my word for it, Chris. It's a beautiful day out there. And honest to goodness, I'm going to tell you right now, I would be splashing the boat at 12:15 today. If I didn't have a jam day today, I would be splashing the boat at 12:15 today. And I can't do it tomorrow either. The first opportunity might be Thursday, and by then I think a cold front is coming in and the weather's going to be shot again. So I don't know. It's very disturbing to me. But anyway, you can watch the show here on the Twitter, on the YouTube channel, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Like and subscribe there at 97.7ESPN.com. Has all of the links to all of that stuff. And get the app, too, while you're at it. Get that app where you can find the link to Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4. You're going to need them all. You're going to need them all because we got so much programming for you here because we basically have the rights to everything. That's pretty much it. We have everything. Madison Academy, after their easy win over Hamilton, will host Priceville in the second round of the playoffs on Friday night. So we will have the Madison Academy game here on Friday night, on air, and on our primary stream. Now, Alabama basketball against the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. I mean, look, when Alabama and South Dakota State get together in basketball, you throw out the records, my friend. I mean, it's just you don't know what's going to happen in that game. Anyway, that game will be streaming exclusively on Zone 2 is where you'll be able to find that one. The Zone 3 is reserved for the Friday night high school scoreboard show, which I believe that Friday is our last one of those. I think that's the last go-round for that. But we'll have playoff scores from all around the state on that deal. And on Zone 4, I'll be doing the hockey game. It'll be Space Night down there at the Hockey Barn, and I'll be doing that game on Zone 4. So we got, it's like ESPN Ocho. It's like Zone Quattro. All right, is where I'll be on Zone Quattro doing a hockey game. Now, speaking of hockey, those guys do play Wednesday night. That's Veterans Night. Moulton's going to be on that game. That game will be on Zone 4 starting at puck drop at 7 o'clock, and then we'll join it in progress on the air after the Crawdad Countdown to Kickoff show. So, see, I mean, it's just this is why you got to have all of these channels. You got to have all of our you got to have our app and on online so you can have all of our alternate channels because we got so much good stuff coming up for you. And tonight, the college basketball season gets started. Are we ready for this? Am I nuts? Or does the college basketball season seem to start earlier and earlier every year? It's November 9th. In my pea brain, I have it in my head that the college basketball season starts around Thanksgiving. That's always in my mind. I'm thinking like around Thanksgiving, maybe the week before Thanksgiving. It's November 9th. It's a regular season game tonight. As the Texters of Louisiana Tech will be in Coleman Coliseum to take on number 14, Alabama. That's tonight. Coming up in a few minutes, David Moulton of the SEC on CBS will join us. He's also with the NFL on Fox, which means he's doing all those Thursday night games. He was in College Station on Saturday for Auburn's egg drop against the Aggies. He'll be in Knoxville this week for Georgia at Tennessee. I am intrigued by that game. I'm also doing other shows on that game. It's just, I don't know why I don't know. I still get calls about Tennessee for whatever reason. But I'm doing other shows. They call and, hey, can you come on and talk about Tennessee and Georgia? I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, why not? I'm a big Vols guy. I mean, they still have me in their Rolodex. Tennessee. Oh, let's talk to Thom Abraham about Tennessee. But I am intrigued about that game. I really am intrigued about that game. So we'll get into that with David Moulton. He was also in Kansas City for the Packers-Chiefs game last Sunday as well. He'll be in Miami on Thursday night for the Ravens and the Dolphins. Is Tua going to play? I've been a Tua apologist. All along, I've been a Tua apologist. I really have been. But I got to tell you, I've been one that's saying, I'm not giving up on this kid. I'm not giving up on this kid. I'm not giving up on this kid. Availability is huge in the NFL. And I just don't know. I just don't know what to do anymore. I really don't know what to do. The dude can't play 3 games in a row. I mean, to say it was a mistake as far as taking Justin Herbert or Tua, that we're past that. We're way past that. But the question now, I mean, I'm starting to. I said he was a China doll when he was at Alabama. I feel like that now. And this is an extremely talented guy that did some wild things. Winning Jalen Hurts that national championship his freshman year. Some of the numbers that he put up. But ultimately, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, we'll ask David about that. At the top of the 11, 2014 Bassmaster Classic champ Randy Howell, a good friend, will join us. He lives at Guntersville. That's where he won the Bassmaster Classic. Anyway, he's going to join us as this Saturday for the 11th year in a row. Randy is going to give away his touring bass boat with all the electronics and the bells and whistles to benefit King's Home in Birmingham, which is a ranch that services at-risk youth and women. And every year I help them promote this thing. They will give the boat away on Saturday. You make a $100 donation to King's Home. And for a $100 donation, you get a chance to win the boat. Chris, do this, man. You got to win this boat. This boat gets prettier and prettier every year. Every year he gives away. This is the 11th boat that he's given away. It's tremendous. He's got great sponsors that help make it happen. And it's all going to be part of the Randy Howell Hope Festival down there on Saturday. They're going to have live music. I don't know, all kinds of cool things. I'm going to tell you right now, I think the boat, with all the electronics that he has on that boat and that 250 hanging off the back, I think it's a $90,000 boat. I think it's a $90,000 boat. If Grizz won the boat, he'd have to put like a tent on it and live on it. It could be a bit like his home. After Randy, Joey Blackwell from BamaCentral.com is in to help sort out what we are seeing in this 2021 version of the Tide. Now, Sports Illustrated's Pat Forty, he put Alabama at number 5 outside the playoff 4 today in his article, out of the playoff, stating that the Tide do not have the top offense or defense in the SEC. He says, look, they don't even have the best offense or defense in their own conference. Well, not for nothing, but Alabama does, even with the 20 points they scored against LSU, Alabama leads the SEC in points scored per game. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how they determine who wins a football game, is points scored per game. Now, they're second in yards per game to Ole Miss. But Ole Miss is 4th in points scored per game. I mean, I think points scored per game is kind of a thing. And it isn't close. They score 5 points a game more than Georgia. Okay. All right. But he says they don't have the best offense in the SEC. They have the 4th best offense or defense in the SEC in terms of points allowed in the SEC. And only Georgia is better in yards allowed. And Georgia has the best defense on the planet. Georgia's defense is what LSU's offense was in 2019. It's off the hook. There's no chance, no doubt about that. But 40 puts Cincinnati at number 2. He put Cincinnati at number 2. Yet they're 3rd in points scored per game in their popcorn conference. In the American. That has one ranked team. Them. They're 3rd. They don't have the best offense in their conference. Now, they do have the top defense in there in terms of points allowed. But 40 noted that Alabama was less than dominant against LSU. He said, well, they didn't dominate LSU. They were less than dominant against LSU. But he does not hold the Bearcats to the same standard, who were less than dominant against Navy, Tulane, and Tulsa in 3 straight games. Why is it a different standard? Because they're not Alabama? Because Alabama's been on our consciousness like this for 10 years? And because Cincinnati's the little girl with the crow, we got to get a power. We got to get a group of 5 team in. Oh, we got to have a group of 5 team in. It's not fair. It's not fair. They don't get to play with their big boys. It's not fair. How come we don't hold them to the same standard? Were they dominant against Tulsa, having to have a goal line stand against a 3-win Tulsa team? Having to score a touchdown late to win by 12 against a 1-win Tulane team? How come they don't get held to the same standard? They can be number 2 by barely beating crap teams in a crap conference. Okay. Bleeding heart sports liberals. That's what they are. They're bleeding heart sports liberals.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's the Tuesday Top 10.
It's the way I would rank them tonight. This is the way I would rank them tonight. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State. Oklahoma, 5 with a bullet. I'd have Michigan 6. I got news for you. I'd have Michigan 6. They got upset at Michigan State. They were winning that game throughout. Michigan State beat them late. I know. I get that. I'd have Michigan 6 right now. Cincinnati, 7. Notre Dame, 8. Michigan State, 9. And Oklahoma State, 10. That's what I would do. Now, I know haters are going to hate, but I'm embracing my Power 5 snobbery. I'm embracing it. Under the heading, facts are stubborn things. Over there in that little glass booth, playing the platters that matter and the stacks of wax and manning the phones and just so stoked about his new digs. Looking for a window. The sun looks like it's shining on his head. It's not, but something is shining on his head. It's Coach Grizz.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? Detective. It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Now, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Listen, how about the Steelers last night, Grizz? That was their 19th straight win on Monday Night Football, the longest in the all-time history of Monday Night Football, going all the way back to the beginning of Monday Night Football. 19 in a row last night. How about that?
Truly remarkable, and Ben Roethlisberger is here to stay, just like Tom Brady, that longevity of keeping his body right. And
this guy's done. Get him out of there. 205 yards passing. Now, I will say Justin Fields finally, he kind of showed a little something later on. He looked like crap in the beginning of that game. I mean, the first half of the game, he looked like dog crap. I still think the guy is Busville. I really do. I think he's going to be – I think 3 years from now he's Busville. Yes, he had a nice comeback. Yes, he led the team. He shows a lot of athletic ability and so on and so forth. So did RG3 when he won the Rookie of the Year, and so did Vince Young when he won the Rookie of the Year. I'm telling you, in my just save it, put it away over here. I think he's Busville in 3 years. I honestly do.
I've said it before, and I've gotten attacked. I mean, on Facebook, I've gotten attacked on Twitter by Chicago people,
right.
And I'm just like, it's not. It's a guy that you knew it coming in that he holds onto the ball too long. It's a guy that, like, even when he tries to make a play on his feet, it just doesn't look natural. It doesn't look good. And it's not comparable to the Kyler Murrays of the world, that can really, like, make plays when needed to. And I just love how, like, at the beginning of the draft, like before the draft, it was like, oh my gosh, like, they definitely should take Justin Fields over Mac Jones. And it's just like, but I think people need to, like, slow down a little bit. They're all rookies. They're all trying to, they're all getting better.
Justin Fields the best of the bunch right now.
Oh yeah, no, definitely 5-4. I mean, he's not playing the greatest, but I mean, he's doing enough.
His numbers are pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. But enough. He's doing enough. Like, he's not going over over the top like we expect. These rookies to do, especially when they get, like, Justin Fields. They expect him to be this world beater, and it's just like he's not that type of player. The Jets are figuring that out. With Zach Wilson, they're not very good, and they haven't really done much in college to really show me either that they were worth being drafted this high. And I don't understand why, like, if Patrick Mahomes is getting found out, you don't think that this guy's going to get found out very soon? I mean, it's not going. I mean, he's not. That's why we talk about. Not for
what'd you
long.
say about Mahomes?
I mean, like, if defenses are figuring out Mahomes right now.
I think Mahomes is banged up. I think Mahomes is fine. This kid's nowhere near.
You don't think they're
Patrick
trying
Mahomes.
to? I mean, I don't think people are actually, like, figuring out.
No, I don't think so much figuring him out. I think if he's healthy, I think they're fine. I don't know that it's because of them figuring him out. I'm not sure. But the one thing that Mahomes had that Fields would have, I think, been well served, was to be able to sit behind a vet for a whole year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think that helped Mahomes a lot. But I don't think Justin Fields will ever.
I mean, who's Mac Jones sitting behind?
Nobody.
I mean? Like, nobody.
Yeah, right. Nobody.
I mean,
they all could use that, but certainly Zach Wilson could have used it. But Mac Jones, go look at Mac Jones' numbers. I think Mac Jones' numbers are actually pretty decent. I mean,
he is a dirty player, So I mean, that's probably
that is such a bothersome story. I mean, that's such crap. He thought the guy had a ball. He was trying to tackle him.
I liked
grab
it.
the ankle. You roll over to try to take the guy down.
That's not even biased for Mac Jones or Alabama or anything. He's 15th in the league in yards. He's tied for 20th in touchdowns. He's 10-7 touchdown to interception comparison, and then QBR is at 48, so he's 21st right now. So he's not, like I said, he's not going crazy with the numbers, but he's keeping his team, in winnable ball games.
How about Brian Snitker not even being a finalist for National League Manager of the Year? And I know that it's a regular season thing.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Gabe Kapler is the National League Manager of the Year. I mean, this is a no-brainer. I mean, the guy won 107 games with a team that was supposed to be third in their division. Won 107. Gabe Kapler is the National League Manager of the Year. But for Snit to not even be mentioned, and they put the guy that got fired on there from St. Louis, they put him on the list, and they said, they were and well, he didn't get fired. They kind of separated. Who knows what happened?
It was like a parting of
ways.
Yeah.
But they said, for the reason they put him on there, they said that the team was, like, going into August, they were just blah. Then they won a bunch of games in a row and made it great to the finish. Well, isn't that what happened with Brian Snitker? I mean, weren't they 500 after 100 games? And did they not have the best record just about in baseball since the All-Star break, or since halfway through? I mean, you gotta. Snit should have at least been on the list, and so should Austin Riley on the National League MVP. I mean, goodness gracious almighty, his numbers are right there the same as Harper and as Tatis. He should have at least been on that list, in my opinion.
We want to talk about biased. You know what I mean? That's when it comes to baseball, it's very biased. I feel like in the MVP race, it's all about, like, who can, like, gravitate with the fans, to be honest with you. I mean, Austin Riley's not that type of player, I feel like, in the eyes of the media.
Yeah, but this is the sports writers. This doesn't in
the eyes of the media, they don't feel like he's a polarizing character.
Well, look.
And Austin Riley has been right there with the best.
Fernando Tatis had to be scolded by his own teammates.
Yeah.
For being a cancer basically on the team. He led his team to third. You led your team to third. Doesn't winning it, and if you go back and you look, the slash line for Austin Riley is right there. He's 303, 33 homers, and 107 RBI. But to go deeper than that, How many times did Austin Riley win the game? How many times did he come up with the key hit? And when Austin Riley, in the regular season, at the end of the regular season, went head-to-head with Bryce Harper was like 1 for 11 in that series, and Austin Riley won all 3 games. I mean, he was so dominant. Doesn't that count? Don't you don't just add up the numbers and say, well, this guy did that. Come on.
Well, it's like Bryce Harper, I think, had like 1 hit the whole series against the Braves. So it's like, how can you say that, like, he failed? He failed his team, and he did not move on. The Braves moved on with Austin Riley, and he continued to hit, including the playoffs. So I don't get it. It's confusing to me.
Let's get a break. When we come back, David Moulton kicks things off for us. We'll talk some college football and some NFL with David Moulton next, right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dippin' Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at baddaddysburgerbar.com.
We know it's lonely at the top, but we don't mind.
National championship number 18. 13-0. Absolute perfection.
Roll Tide. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide welcome the New Mexico State Aggies to Bryant-Denny Stadium. Our coverage begins at 8 a.m. on your home for Bama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
I mean, should we really have the Steve Moulton bumper when David Moulton is coming on? I mean, this is confusing for people, I think. Just saying. Can we have dead people to stop having Twitter pages, please? It's very bothersome to me. I don't want to see tweets from Gary Carter, okay? Gary Carter is dead, isn't he? I mean, Gary Carter's been dead for a while, right? I mean, why am I getting... I don't want to see Gary Carter tweeting. Stop having dead people tweet, all right? If you're dead, stop tweeting. I'm a little annoyed. All right. David Moulton joins us now. He is brought to us by our friends at North Alabama Mortgage. One thing that doesn't annoy me is when I'm talking to Brian Hammaker about my refinance. And, boy, he's helping me in so many ways. I'm learning so much stuff as well. The rates are incredible, too. And they can do the same thing for you as they're doing for me. It's North Alabama Mortgage. Go to northalabamamortgage.com for more information on how they can help you in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. He's struggling a little bit with the name. He's thinking, do I change the name? Because it's North Alabama Mortgage, but they're Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida as well. All right, David Moulton, no relation to Steve Moulton, who did the drop for us there, joins me now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. David, welcome in. How are you?
Tom, I always love starting the segment with you admittedly annoyed.
I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed.
Leads to a very lively 18 to 20 minutes that's to follow.
Well, I'm annoyed that Austin Riley isn't even a finalist for the MVP, National League MVP. Fernando Tatis leads a team that should have won the West to third-place finish. His own teammates had to get after him because he was such a selfish player. His slash line is only slightly better than Austin Riley's. Harper, that guy, every time they played against the Braves, including in a key series at the end of the year, he couldn't do anything against the Braves. Went 1 for 11 in a 3-game series that decided the National League East, while Austin Riley won all 3 games basically with big hits. I don't understand. I just don't get it, and it pisses me off. And Brian Snitker, look, Gabe Kapler's the manager of the year in the National League, 107 wins with a third-place team. I mean, come on. No doubt. But Brian Snitker's not even on the list for what he did down the stretch with that team. I'm annoyed.
All right. Remember, it's a regular season award, and we can debate whether or not these awards should also include postseason play. And, yes, some people are in it and some aren't, but should that apply? You know, the Braves did win 88 games. I mean,
but they had the most wins after 100 games with losing one of the best players in baseball. They somehow had the best record in baseball in the last 62 games. And that's the reason why Schultz is on there. They put Schultz on there because the Cardinals played so well starting August 1st. What's the same damn thing that happened with the Braves? I don't know.
I don't disagree. I mean, you got the ring and a parade. Do you really need anything more?
No. You're right. It's a good point. You don't need these silly awards. No ring and no parade for Auburn. I finally had bought in on Bo Nix. I said, okay, he's going to be consistent now, and I thought they had something for Texas A&M, and I came out of that with 2 takes. One, that A&M, I don't understand how the hell they lost those games to Mississippi State at home. Of course, the quarterback was much more raw then, and how they lost that game to Arkansas. But Auburn, it's just not happening for Nix. They're still so inconsistent down the field. It was bothersome to see. I thought there was going to be a much more competitive game.
Well, I thought he was playing so badly that they would pull him in the fourth quarter for the other guy, to be honest with you. It was 9-3 with, 13 minutes to go, and then the strip sack, fumble, touchdown. And yet, if I'm the backup, I'm like, well, what do I have to how badly does he have to play for me to get in this game? But, it's good bow, bad bow, home bow, road bow. And, they got road bow. Who's going to play, and they're going to play a lot better in 2.5 weeks. I mean, you just know it.
Yeah, which ought to be a hell of a game, especially if Alabama decides to come in sleepwalking like they did against LSU. And the thing that is so disturbing, I mean, this is the standard that Alabama fans are hold their team to now after 10 years of double-digit wins every year and so on. I get that, and it sounds stupid to say these things about a team that's probably going to be ranked number 2 again tonight. But it's so unsaving-like to see a team that makes so many mental errors. 12 men on the field on punt return, unforced errors on lining up off sides and jumping off sides, wrong formation, things like that. That's the part that's disturbing, is that's all just preparation and mental. They don't seem like they're ready to play.
Well, clearly they weren't Saturday. And, Nick will take the blame. But, this was a rat poison game, I guess. And I understand the Bama fan, Tom, though, in this instance. I was thinking about this before I came on. if you forget Nick's first year. Let's start with 2008 when they had the undefeated regular season and the Gators got them at the end. They've had a 13-year run here, 08 through 2020. If you were to compare this Alabama team, which is number 2 in the country, with one loss on the last play of the game, where would this team rank amongst those previous 13? I think they might only be as good or better than the 2014 team, which, oh, by the way, entered the playoff number 1 in the country before getting beat by Ohio State. I mean, so that's how lofty the expectations and the standard now is, that a team that by Alabama's standard, this isn't me saying this, but by Alabama's standard, this team is below average, and they're number 2 in the country.
Yeah. And the thing is that standard is extended through to a lot of the talking heads that are out there, and it's not the same standard that, let's say, Cincinnati, and I am a Power 5 snob. I admit it. I embrace it. That's my, facts are stubborn things type mentality. I'm sorry. That's it. But having said that, like Pat Forty has Cincinnati 2 and Alabama 5, and he has Alabama 5 because he says they don't have the best offense or defense in the SEC in their own conference, even though they lead the SEC with 43 points a game, which is 5 points clear of Georgia at number 2. But they don't have the best offense in the SEC. And yet Cincinnati has the 3rd best offense in the American, which this year has just one ranked team. And he says Alabama looks sloppy and was not dominant against LSU, and yet Cincinnati goes Navy, Tulane, Tulsa, and looks not dominant in 3 straight games, yet he has them number 2. It's a different rule or standard for Alabama than you grade Cincinnati by, for some people.
Well, now, for most years, though, there's also been the double standard the other way, where the group of 5 team has had to play at such a lofty level and then still couldn't crack the Power 5. UCF had the back-to-back undefeated seasons. I think the best ranking they ever had going into the bowls was 7.
Yeah.
So it's worked both ways. I mean, it has. But, Tom, this is a year, the old adage, you stare at statistics long enough, they can tell you what it is you want them to say.
Yeah.
If you were to lay out the top 8 to 12 teams in college football, you can make any case you want for teams 2 through 12.
Yeah.
You literally could. Any case you want. Look at last week, for example. Bama looked bad. Cincy looked bad. Ohio State looked bad. Oregon looked okay.
Nah.
Not great. They looked okay.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But,
and Michigan State lost.
Echelon,
yeah.
Right. Michigan State lost. The Big 12 teams at various times, they've looked good. They've looked okay. I mean, outside of Georgia. I mean, listen, when you're beating a team by 37 points and you're not covering,
exactly.
You're playing pretty well.
I tweeted that during the guy said, wow, the only team that played dominant was Georgia. Oh, by the way, they didn't cover. Right. Yeah, the beyond all of that, I hope the big winner tonight is Oklahoma. And I know they didn't play, but I hope that this committee takes a second look and says, wait a minute, here's an undefeated team that has stumbled around this season, but they are undefeated. They are playing a better schedule, certainly, than the schedule that's being played by Cincinnati. They look different with Caleb Williams at quarterback. I would like to see them at least jump to 5. I looked for reasons to pull Alabama out of 2. I'd be like, that's the number 2 team in the country after watching that against LSU. But then the same thing. Well, 3 lost. Oregon was against a bad Washington team. Ohio State was There was nobody that made a definitive statement. I actually like Michigan a little bit more than I did. They got upset by Michigan State. They led most of that game and let it go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, there's no doubt. They outplayed them, 550 yards offense, and they blew it at the end.
They blew it. Them. Yeah, I'd have them 7.
But here's the other thing, Tom. There's still so many of these teams that I think can win their way into the playoff.
Yeah.
First off, I truly believe at the end of the day, if Cincinnati wins out, they're going to get in. I think they're going to get in because a couple of teams in front of them are going to get knocked off, and the committee is going to turn around and go, put them in at 4. But
their schedule gets worse and worse, though. See, that's why I don't think there's nobody for them to play in the AAC championship game. There's nobody for them to play
coming up. Right? Huh? Don't they play Houston coming up? Could they play them in the championship game?
In the championship game, but they're not ranked. They're unranked. You know, it's an unranked team.
Tonight.
Yeah,
they'll be ranked tonight.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, it depends on. I think it would take a certain amount of chaos. I think Oregon's going to win out. Alabama has only the one shot, and that's to beat Georgia. So no, it doesn't matter where they put Alabama. They got to beat Georgia. If they don't beat Georgia, they're out.
I don't know about that. Let me tell you.
There's no way they put a 2-loss Alabama team in. Not this Alabama team. There's no way.
Okay, hold on. Now, listen, I don't think they should be in if they lose to Georgia. They've yet to put a 2-loss team in. And when they didn't put a 2-loss team, Penn State, who won the Big Ten championship, who beat Ohio State, who they put in, when they didn't put that Penn State team in, I thought to myself, well, they're just not going to put a 2-loss team in this Final Four. But if you're the committee and Bama's 2, and Georgia and Bama play another slobber knocker in the Dome, only this time Georgia wins close late, you're going to drop them to 5? Because remember, they're not going to move them to 4, because that means they play Georgia in the semis. So it's either move them to 3 or move them to 5. Okay? 2017 Georgia, late field goal. How far does Bama fall?
Well, tell me what happened to Oklahoma. Did they run it? Did Oklahoma run the table? Because Oklahoma runs the table, they're in. They run the table, they climb into it. Ohio State wins the Big Ten, they're in, and Oregon wins, so they're in.
Let's just say it comes down to this. That's Big 12, Big 10, and Pac-12.
Yeah.
You've got all 3 running the table. Tom, we've been doing this a long time. These teams are not running the table. This is when the upsets happen. November is when all what breaks loose in college football. At least one of those 3 teams is not going to win out, which means what will it come down to? 2-loss Alabama against undefeated Cincinnati. That's what it'll come down to. Who should get in?
How about
now,
this?
Maybe the committee puts Cincy at 4 and drops Bama all the way to 5, and numbers 2 and 3 are some combination of those 3 conferences where, Ohio State's 2, Oklahoma 3, Oregon lost, they're out. We all can do put 2 of the 3 in at 2 and 3. The other loses, they drop out, and ultimately it comes down to a 2-loss Alabama against an undefeated Cincinnati. And Alabama's 2 losses are to number 1 Georgia, and by then it could be like number 8 Texas A&M.
Yeah. Boy,
you tell me what the committee's going to do.
That would raise a lot of hell, though. I guess it really does depend on what happens. Yeah, I really believe in Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma State could dump Oklahoma, and they run the table, and then people are going to say, here we go again with Oklahoma State with that one loss to Iowa State, which kept them out, several years ago from the tournament, and then what happens there. The other team, that's a team I think that to a certain extent controls their path. But really, don't we agree still that Michigan controls their path? I mean, all Michigan has to do. Yeah. If Ohio State beats Sparty and then Michigan beats Ohio State, I mean, they're Michigan's 12-1. They're not keeping them out. I guarantee you.
Well, it's difficult to imagine this year, which you could argue has so far been dominated or at least controlled. The topic of conversation in the sport this year has been as much Big Ten centric as it's been anything else. 3 teams in the top 10, and also the TV ratings. I mean, people are watching Big Ten football this year. Big Noon on Fox is winning more weeks than not. And so it's difficult to imagine a 1-loss Big Ten champion, no matter the name of the school, that a 1-loss Big Ten champion is not going to be in the playoff.
David Moulton with us here. All right, to your game this week, I find this game very intriguing. I look at Georgia and their defense. The numbers are, in this day and age, are just stunning, what they've been able to do defensively. Having said that, I look at their schedule and I say, where the hell is the offense that they played? What big – I mean, Kentucky on and off at times, but it didn't match up well against Georgia. Florida is a grease fire. They really haven't. Clemson's not Clemson, the normal Clemson. Now they're going to face a fast and dynamic Tennessee offense, but I don't know that Tennessee's interior of their offensive line can do anything with that defensive line of Georgia's. If they stifle this team, we are certainly seeing something that's very, very historic. On the other hand, I'm interested to see if Tennessee can shock and awe them a little bit and do some things that might put a little bit of doubt in people's minds that Georgia's just running this thing right out through the back door, because eventually they're going to play possibly Alabama and possibly Ohio State, which are still possibly two of the top 3 or 4 best offenses in the country.
I think on an earlier appearance I mentioned, at the time I believe Alabama was undefeated. That was Georgia and Alabama, this year's SEC version of 2011, when LSU and Alabama were just head and shoulders above the rest of the conference, and those two defenses completely dominated. Both gave up less than 10 points a game. And at the end, though, we were wondering how much of it was clearly great defensive play, but we also looked around the rest of the conference and went, wow, there are no quarterbacks, no good offenses. Who did they really play? It's why some people were advocating in 2011 that LSU should have not had to face Bama again, but have them face Oklahoma State, have them face somebody with an offense to at least see just how great this defense is. And I see what you're getting at with Tennessee. Tom, can anybody run the ball on this Georgia team? And if so, don't you think it will be this week? I mean, this is all Tennessee really brings to the table.
Yeah.
They can run the ball. They use tempo. They use getting to the edge. They got a quarterback who's big and powerful. I mean, is there anybody who's going to be able to do anything on the ground against this Georgia team? Because if so, then maybe an offense can attack the back end of the defense and have down and distance and field position and score in their favor. No one's been able to get in that position against Georgia this year. And then, God forbid, Tennessee puts a few points on the board. Nothing crazy. Maybe they got 17 on the board mid-third quarter. Does this now force the game to be in the Georgia quarterback's hands, which also has not happened this year? That's what I'm curious, because if it doesn't happen Saturday, it ain't happening until Atlanta.
I think Tennessee will get some points, and I think tempo is going to. The one thing about Georgia's defensive line, which again we talked about, the interior of their defensive line is so dominant, but they are big, heavy-set guys, and if Tennessee does their play every 16 seconds type thing, that could create a problem, I think, for the interior of that Georgia defensive line. Those guys start sucking wind by the third, fourth, fifth play in a row like that. Tennessee's liable to get some points.
And if
I like
nothing
your talk.
else, Tom, if you fake tempo, even if you don't go tempo, because I have to admit, I would not go tempo against Georgia. They've got better players than you. I don't want this to be an 80-snap game. I want it to be a 60-snap game. But what I want to do is I want to get to the line in a hurry, because Georgia has so many substitution packages, and I want to take that off the board. I want to be at the line of scrimmage looking like I'm ready to snap, and then you can stand around for 25 seconds, but Kirby can't put anybody in the game.
Yeah. I mean, they ran 47 plays against Kentucky and averaged 10 yards per play, and ran 47 plays. Kentucky ran 100. I mean, 100 plays in that game. And that's the one thing I wonder if at some point Tennessee's got to help their defense out a little bit by giving them a breather. And but this is
right. It's why I wouldn't go fast.
Yeah.
Why I wouldn't go fast. I would fake going fast, but I don't want my defense out there for more than 60 plays against Georgia.
But do you want Georgia to be able to get lined up? Is your ability to score going to be based on the fact that they're huffing and puffing and they're mentally tired and they can't get lined up and you get them in a bust? Tennessee scores more points on busted plays than anybody in college football right now. Busted defense.
Georgia plays a lot more zone in the secondary this year than they have under Kirby. Because of that reason, teams were getting Georgia in, the little rub, little pick, one blown aside. And Georgia's playing a ton of zone this year as opposed to bump and run corner. And so I think they're even better equipped to handle tempo because of it.
What you guys don't know maybe about David Moulton is not only does he work with the crew on CBS and Fox, but He has been the voice of FGCU basketball since they blew the ball up back 20 years ago, something like that. And
you're 20.
Yeah, I worked those games, those early games with him back in the day. Are you doing it again this year, A? And 2, does it not feel like this college basketball season is starting like earlier than ever? It used to start around Thanksgiving or something. Now college basketball, it's November 9th, for God's sakes.
Believe it or not, this is the traditional day to start the season. It's the second Tuesday in November. This is a pretty early second Tuesday, though. It could be as late as the 14th. Right. And yes, I'm still doing the games. My ultimate love is play-by-play. I got a team for you. St. Bonaventure. Off the
Bonnies.
path. They're ranked, so they're not quite the sleeper, but I think that's a Sweet 16 team that could even go a little further than that. That's, I got my money on Villanova to win it all, but my sleeper team is St. Bonaventure.
The good old Bonnies. Back in it, I played hockey against the Bonnies on an Indian reservation. Wait a minute, can you say that? Yeah, it's an Indian reservation. On an Indian reservation down there in wherever that is in the southern tier of New York. But we went in there and we used to play them in hockey back when I was in college. All right, David Moulton has been our guest. David, I appreciate you so much as usual. Brought to us by North Alabama Mortgage. We'll do it again next week, David.
You were not nearly as grumpy as I thought you were going to be.
Well, I get in a better mood. By the time I'm done talking to you, I'm in a better mood.
You might be the only one, Tom.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
All right. All the best to your audience.
Thanks, David Moulton. All right. Let's grab a break. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 1 next right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Valley Equipment Rental. Pretty self-explanatory name, no? Thom Abraham here. And look, Valley Equipment Rental is all over the Tennessee Valley. And they rent equipment. All kinds of equipment. And not just to the contractors out there, but to you, the general public, as well. Need a skid steer or an excavator? Well, they've got over 40 units to make sure they've got one for you. From huge boom lifts to miscellaneous hand tools, it's at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Parkway. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. More on that to come.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Chad, cue the cheesy Italian music. So you're in charge of the dinner spot, and the family is a hard group to please. Dad wants award-winning 21-day-age certified Angus beef. Mom craves authentic Italian food like great-grandma. Sissy pretty much won't eat anything but fresh seafood. And old life of the party, Uncle Walter, likes to enjoy a cigar after dinner with some live local entertainment and some killer cocktails. So you think you're in a pickle? Well, you're not. Relax. I'm Tom Chapman, chef at Nick's Ristorante at 10300 Bailey Cove Road, just south of Weatherly. We have all that and more. Our friendly and helpful staff is eager to help you Tuesday through Saturday, starting at 5. So, corral that crazy crew of yours and give us a call at 256-489-8280 or tell them to check us out at nicksristorante.com. I promise you, the gang will all think you're a culinary cruise director of awesomeness if you take them all to Nick's. See you soon. Ciao. Okay, Chad, kill that music.
Nick's is for patrons 19 or older.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000 square foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. You want a feel-good story? We always talk about knuckleheads in sports, and here's a feel-good story. Ready for this one? How about this? Adrian Peterson, who just joined the Titans last week, right? Adrian Peterson. Look at this. Adrian Peterson and his wife, through their A&A Peterson Family Foundation, is providing 5,000 meals to food banks in Tennessee for every touchdown scored by the Titans during the holiday months of November and December. And if Peterson scores the touchdown, like he did this past week when he scored against the Chargers, then the number is 10,000 meals for his touchdown. So if the Titans score 3 touchdowns like they did against the Chargers, and he scores one of them, 20,000 meals.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? Donated by Adrian Peterson. I mean, he couldn't find Tennessee with an abacus or whatever you do. Just joins the team last week, and now he's going to end up feeding hundreds of thousands of people. 4 touchdowns against the Rams and his means 25,000 meals just from last week's deal. I mean, that's amazing. And they average about 4 touchdowns a game anyway. A lot of meals. All right, when we come back, another feel-good story. Randy Howell will join us, and we'll tell you how you can win his boat next on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Orange is the color power of construction, the color of Kubota and Huntsville Tractor and Equipment. Those who need to get things done trust Kubota's mini excavators, compact track loaders, and the best keeps getting better with the all-new mini compact loader from one of the top dealers in the country. More than 50 years of family service, every part in the book, and folks who know what to do with them. You'll be seeing orange with Huntsville Tractor and Equipment.
Come on, let's go to work.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today. And get $1,000 off MSRP. See Howell at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. Former Browns receiver Odell Beckham Jr. on waivers. Any NFL team can put a claim in on him and pay him the $7.25 million remaining on his contract this season. If he goes unclaimed by today's 4 Eastern deadline, he becomes an unrestricted free agent, can sign with any team. If that happens, Cleveland has to pay OBJ $4.25 million this season. ESPN's Dan Graziano reporting the Browns and All-Pro offensive guard Wyatt Teller agreed to a 4-year, $56.8 million extension. Since Teller's arrival, the Browns' offensive line has been among the NFL's most dominant units. The NBA reviewing the actions of Nugget star Nikola Jokic in last night's win over the Heat. The reigning league MVP could be facing a suspension or fine. He aggressively blindsided Miami power forward Markieff Morris from behind in retaliation to a hard foul. He was then ejected.
While other stations keep changing their lineup,
Yeah!
we keep plugging away.
Did you lose your mind all of a sudden, or was it a slow, gradual process?
Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby.
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
And welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. So glad that you are with us today. And I'm not going to say that I've known Randy Howell now for a while, but I could tell you this. When I first met him, it was at a Bass Pro Shops in Northeast Tennessee at a PAA event. His wife was pushing a shopping cart around the Bass Pro Shops, and one of his kids, either Laker or Oakley, one of his kids was in the cart. Okay, they're like in college now, or maybe I don't know where they are, but they're great fishermen. I know that. But the kid was in the cart. That's how long ago it was. And every year he does such a tremendous thing, giving away his boat. Now for the 11th straight year, he's going to give away his boat. to benefit the fine folks at King's Home, and he joins us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Randy, welcome back. How old are those kids now?
How you doing, man? Big dog. Hey, man, it's great to be here. Those kids are 16 and 20 now. So my 16-year-old's playing basketball up here at Guntersville High School, so he's in high school, but we got a Laker that's out of college and guiding and trying to walk in the footsteps of the fishing career now.
Well, I remember a charity event we fished in a few years ago where Laker did all the damage. You and him teamed together, and it was he that did all the damage there at Guntersville on a Ned rig or something like that. So he was out fishing Dad that day.
Yeah, you remember that. That's right. He's taught me a lot. I tell you, I've taught him a lot, but he's taught me a lot too. That's what's cool about fishing, man. You can never quit learning in fishing. The only sport that's like that.
Well, I'll tell you what else is cool about fishing is so many of you guys have such great hearts. And before we get into what you're doing with King's Home, just a word about a guy we lost this past week in Aaron Martin's 49 years old, lived in Leeds, not too far downstate from all of us, and from California, and just such a big-hearted guy, a guy who had strong faith. At the end, he often spoke of of that and of his faith and the prayers that everybody gave and sent up for him. 20 months or so, he battled the brain cancer that finally he succumbed to. But we lost a true legend and a great human being when Aaron Martin's passed.
Yeah, very, very, very sad, man. I tell you, we've been good friends for at least 20 years, right about 20, because I'm 48, he was 49, and when he first moved from California to Birmingham, we had just moved there a few years before, so we got to be friends with him there locally, and just kind of our kids grew up together with his on the road a lot, and it's just, unbelievable the picture of health. He ran and was more healthy and eat better than anybody that I've ever known, and for him to have gotten the brain cancer like this and went through the battle, and he stayed so positive, though. He always encouraged. He always believed every day that he was going to beat it, and it was going to, he was going to be back out there. And he fished every day almost. It's unbelievable how much he fished during that time, just trying to, kick its butt. And it's sad, but God had other plans in his life and his legacy that he's left behind now. He was a very loved individual. He touched a lot of hearts and encouraged a lot of people. So just glad we got to know him, and I know he's up there. He always liked to get to the best spot first, and he's done that now in heaven. He's in the best spot first, and he's just got great memories that he left here, and we want to pray for his wife Leslie and his kids Jordan and Spencer, both teenagers. So very hard on them, I'm sure.
Yeah, and just the kind of guy he was. The last time I saw him face-to-face was last spring at a charity fishing event, and he was fishing in it. And here's a guy who was battling for his own life, yet he was giving his time and trying to raise money to help other kids battle cancer and battle other ailments as well. So that just was kind of the kind of guy he was. And for our listeners, this week's edition of Bassmaster Radio, which will air on Saturday, is dedicated to Aaron Martins, and we'll have a number of guests that will come on and talk about Aaron Martins, and I'll have some previous interviews with him. He was something to listen to talk. I mean,
he was the most comical guy out there, because we all made fun of him and joked with him, and I impersonated him all the time in my seminars because he was so meticulous. He was such a natural, and he almost had the mirroring of Rain Man a little bit in the Rain Man movie sometimes, because he was so dialed in on little details, and he would get in your head so easily as a competitor. He could mess you up so quickly, just not even meaning to, just because he was so good at what he did and how he was unreal. It's amazing what kind of mind he had and what he did. He was an awesome individual.
Somehow we scheduled him and Steve Kennedy on the same show one year.
Oh, my God.
Had him on back-to-back. And it was like I was doing the show from the moon. I didn't know what.
I guarantee you. That was a 2-hour show, I bet, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, I don't know what just happened, but we just talked to those guys. But let's talk about what you're doing for King's Home. First of all, King's Home, I know every year we talk about it and we tell people about it, but there are always new listeners. And just talk about what King's Home does, because that ranch down there in the Birmingham area, they do so much. Just talk about what it is that their main mission is.
Yeah, Kings Home is a really big footprint across the state of Alabama. They have kids, women with children, teenagers. There's 4 boys ranch, 4 girls ranches, 67 group residential group homes amongst all the campuses, and then all the women's homes in the other side of the ministry. So they do a lot of stuff to help a lot of people, and people from everywhere come there. Mostly abandoned, abused, neglected, really bad situations are the kids and the people that come into King's Home. So we've been a part of working with them and just kind of, loving on them for really about 13 years now. And then 11 years ago, we come up with the idea to try giving my boat away like this to help raise money and bring awareness not only to the King's Home and their mission, but also to the whole world of violence on kids and abuse and on women and domestic violence and all the different things. So it's really been amazing to see the fishing community come out and really support this giveaway every year. And we've raised like $1.8 million in 10 years now with 10 boat giveaways. So just amazing. I love the people there. They do so much for so many with such a small amount of money. They spread it so far, and so it's just awesome to be connected with them and have an opportunity to raise money with the boat. I appreciate our sponsors like Triton, Mercury, and all the others that help me give this boat away to be able to use it for full funding. Last year was $300,000 we raised, and all that money goes straight into those home budgets, and it makes a huge difference. So we appreciate everybody's support. And if you're out in that Birmingham area this weekend, you want to come out, we got a big, fun, free outdoor event in Hoover at Veterans Park. It's the first year we've had it. It's called the Randy Howell Hope Festival this year. And it's a big kids fishing event, plus there's a big Iron City worship music group out there all day, and kids rides and inflatables and horse rides. It's all kinds of fun stuff for family, 10 to 2, Saturday the 13th. That you can get more information right on kingshome.com or right on any of my social media, Randy Howell Fishing on Instagram or Facebook. I've got all the links right there for it.
And then it'll culminate with somebody being able to take home this boat. This boat gets prettier and prettier every year. You go to kingshome.com, click on Randy Howell, and you can see the picture of the boat, and you can see how you can make your donation. A $100 donation gets you an opportunity to win this boat that Randy will give away. And I would you can have it wrapped, right? You can leave it wrapped, right?
Wrapped.
Some folks have. Now, you've given away, like you say, 10 of these. I wonder how many of them are still wrapped, or if the people want to take the wrap off, certainly the wrap can be taken off. But there's these King's Home boats running all over
everywhere.
The South. They're in the South, the West.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, right?
Yeah. The last year, the guy was from upstate Ohio, and I get 2 or 3 messages a month, usually on social media, saying, I saw you in Ohio yesterday at this lake, or in Pennsylvania, or in Texas. The guy from Texas before, a guy from Kentucky before. I mean, all over the country, people have won it, and most people have kept it wrapped, believe it or not. And it really surprises me. I guess they look so good, but I think also that's the cool thing about the mission and the work at King's Home, that people that give to this boat giveaway, whether they win it or not, they know the big picture of what the purpose of it is and what the money is being used for and all the lives that are being transformed because of it. So they want to continue that message by keeping the boat wrapped and having the name on the boat so other people see it and say, hey, man, how'd you get Randy Howell's boat? And they tell the story of King's Home. And we've got that all over the country now. And that's what just makes it a family of people that want to help make a difference,
You would think they would know, though, that it's not you out there without that flat top. I mean, if you don't have the flat top, you're not Randy Howell. I mean, it's just some other dude in a Randy Howell boat. But you got to figure out Go ahead.
I was on my porch a couple of weeks ago. It was a big bass tournament up here at Gunnersville, and I look out in my creek, and I see my boat out there in the water. I'm like, oh, my God, what's my boat doing out there? And I grab my binoculars, and I look out there, and it was my boat from 2019, a guy from Tennessee. And so I called his number up. I said, hey, is that you out there fishing in my creek? And he's like, starts laughing. He's like, yeah. I said, you got the wrap on? He's like, yeah, people are driving me nuts on Gunnersville today. They're stopping every time saying, what are you doing out here, Randy? And then they see it's not you.
Following your boat around out there and everything.
Yeah.
You have to figure out a way to put the winner, put their name on there next to your name. Randy Howell, and then Joe Smith. Have his name on the side of the boat.
I always tell them, just take the one sticker that says Randy Howell on the railing. That's all they got to do is take that off. That way, if they do commit a crime in my boat or anything, they don't come back looking for me.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Now, one year you kept the windshield, right? The year you won the Classic, you kept the windshield from the boat. You don't do that every year, do you?
No, that year was pretty special. The guy that won it that year was a big fishing fan, and he was a big fan of the Classic, and he actually surprised me and called me up like a month later and said, hey, I got something I want to give to you. If you can meet me, it's pretty special. I don't want to tell you what it is. So I met him down in Birmingham, and he gave me the windshield. He had it framed on a big board and had the 2014 Bassmaster Classic champion on all this stuff, and I got it hanging in my garage on my wall now. So it's a pretty special little piece of history from that.
So you can make your donation through noon on Saturday. Now, so up until noon on Saturday, you can make that donation. And look, Alabama, Auburn, they got layups this week. No big game there for Alabama, so you don't have to worry about missing anything. You go out there.
We schedule it too for that.
Yeah, schedule it during a cupcake weekend.
we do on purpose because we know how it is here, and it'll be live streamed, so you can. You make your donation right on kingshome.com/Randy Howell. It'll take you right to the donate page when you type it in. But then you can watch it live streamed on my Facebook page, Randy Howell Fishing on Facebook. We'll have a live stream from the stage, and then we'll post it immediately. And I'll call the winner from the stage with the ticket with the phone number. And that's always cool when you got 1,000 or more people standing there watching.
Yeah.
And we do the call right on the microphone and wait to hear the response of the person. So, man, I'm so excited. We just want to make it big. We want to break our record from last year, 3,100 tickets. We're at about 2,100 tickets right now, so we're 1,000 off from where we want to be by Saturday. So everybody tell your friends and take this opportunity to make that donation, help a great cause, and have a chance to win this awesome boat.
And you can go down there. The thought of going to the Randy Howell Hope Festival, everybody that's listening is within a couple of hours anyway of Hoover, and it'll be at Hoover Veterans Park, and you're going to have live music and a fishing rodeo and a cornhole tournament and all kinds of vendors out there as well. And what a great opportunity to go out and hang out a little bit, get to meet Randy Howell, and who knows, up till noon you got to make a $100 donation, and you may end up being the lucky winner of Randy Howell's boat, which, by the way, all decked out with the electronics stay on it, the poles, everything else stays on it. The power poles, not his fishing poles, but the power poles stay on it.
Yeah.
He might give you a lure. Sure. If you ask him, he might give you a lure. Give you a Livingston lure or something like that. Throw one of those in. But all decked out. This thing is nearly $90,000 boat. I got to believe it. It's got to be in that range. Yeah. So
absolutely, and it's like brand new because we had I fished a pretty short season this year and missed the tournament because of being sick with COVID and pneumonia back in the summer, and had a slow season. So the boat is in mint condition. I didn't have 100 hours on it, so it's it really is a very valuable boat. So even if you don't need a boat or you got a good boat and you want to sell it, we've got people waiting to buy it, and you can flip it and turn it into some big cash real quick.
Well, Randy, I appreciate what you do so much. This is a really, really cool thing. Using your celebrity to raise money for King's Home. You and your wife, all the best to you guys, and I hope you have a great Saturday down there. And folks, you need to just go to, it's very easy to get to, kingshome.com, and you can click on Randy's name or just go to kingshome.com/Randy Howell, and then everything you need, the donate button, everything is right there. You can just do this right now online and make a $100 donation, make a $500 donation. You get 5 chances, as well. So, you can get as many tickets as you want for it, and we appreciate you, Randy.
Yeah, man, Tom, it means a lot to get me on this awesome Big Dog Show of yours, man, with all the football people, and I'm a big football fan too, so I'm excited to be a part of this and be here in Alabama. And you guys, thanks for following us and supporting this ministry. And I'll be watching. If you get a 205 area code that pops up on any of your guys' phones Saturday, a little after 2 o'clock Central, you better answer it because it might be me calling and tell you won that vote.
There you go. All right, Randy, I appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you, Tom. Talk to you later.
Thank you. God bless you. What a great guy, and a great cause. You should go look at it, Chad. You'd get you'd frothing at the bit a little bit.
Oh, I've seen it. No, I looked beforehand.
It?
No, it's a nice boat.
That thing pretty?
It is pretty. Man, I like the blue.
That blue is just gorgeous. It
reminded me of that Auburn one we saw when we went out to the Classic.
Yeah, a little bit. That's a
nice.
$90,000 boat, man. I mean, that is really nice. And as he said, it's in absolute mint condition. All right, let's get a break. When we come back to the football and a little basketball talk with Joey Blackwell from Bama Central. Of course, tonight is opening night for Alabama on the hard court at Coleman Coliseum. The Louisiana Tech in there. You'll hear the game here on our air. Alabama enters the season ranked number 14 in the country. What are the prospects for them, and what does Joey think is going on with this current Alabama football team, and can they just play a clean 60-minute game, and will they be able to do that sometime, in their last two conference games against Arkansas and, of course, Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and then possibly in the SEC championship game as well, because that's what it'll take to beat a team like Georgia. We'll be back with Joey Blackwell next on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Protecting your family is a priority. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors are two of the best life-saving investments for the safety of your home and your family. But they do actually expire. The expert electricians at Mr. Sparky will test and advise or install the best unit for your home. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
Eating the last slice of pumpkin pie? Power move. Buying your own gifts? Power move. Switching to crazy fast gig speed internet from WOW? Power move. Get the speed you need with gig speed internet for just $64.99 a month. Plus get a year of HBO Max included and $300 on us. Sign up at wowway.com today.
Wow.
After the promotional period, HBO Max will auto-renew at then prevailing rate. Limited to new customers with auto-pay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000-square-foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
Chad, cue the cheesy Italian music. So you're in charge of the dinner spot, and the family is a hard group to please. Dad wants award-winning 21-day-age certified Angus beef. Mom craves authentic Italian food like great-grandma. Sissy pretty much won't eat anything but fresh seafood. And old life of the party, Uncle Walter, likes to enjoy a cigar after dinner with some live local entertainment and some killer cocktails. So you think you're in a pickle? Well, you're not. Relax. I'm Tom Chapman, chef at Nick's Ristorante at 10300 Bailey Cove Road, just south of Weatherly. We have all that and more. Our friendly and helpful staff is eager to help you Tuesday through Saturday, starting at 5. So, corral that crazy crew of yours and give us a call at 256-489-8280 or tell them to check us out at nicksristorante.com. I promise you, the gang will all think you're a culinary cruise director of awesomeness if you take them all to Nick's. See you soon. Ciao. Okay, Chad, kill that music.
Nick's is for patrons 19 or older.
Thom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
In today's real estate market, you need the right professionals to help make sure your home purchase is smooth and hassle-free. That's where Jacob Title comes in. Stan McDonald and the staff at Jacob Title cater to the realtor and clients who are looking for a top-flight closing experience. Jacob Title uses the latest and best technologies to ensure a safe and secure exchange of funds, and they pride themselves on great communication well before and during the real estate closing process. Jacob Title in Huntsville and Madison, and online at jacobtitle.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Overall, a beautiful Tuesday across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. We get to enjoy plenty of sunshine, temperatures climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s, only dropping into the upper 40s and lower 50s as we head into the overnight. Expect a little more cloud cover through your Wednesday afternoon, but overall, Wednesday's going to be really nice. Again, temperatures climbing into the lower 70s, dropping into the low and mid 50s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up today at noon. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This segment of the Thom Abraham Show is brought to you by Valley Equipment. Valley Equipment on the South Memorial Parkway, and soon with a second location coming in spring of 2022. They have everything that you need to get the job done, whether it's a big job, whether you're a contractor and you're looking for an excavator or a skid steer or a lift to those tough jobs. They've got that, whether you're a homeowner that is doing some work around your own property, small tools, you need a ladder, you need a hand cart. You know what I mean? You need a hand cart to move a desk. You know what we did yesterday? We needed a hand cart to move a desk yesterday and some other furniture. So what do? Valley Equipment Rental. I mean, where else would you go? They've got it all.
Worked great.
Did it work great?
No, it worked great.
Were you involved in that?
The very end.
Did you? You went and helped out at the very end?
I did show up, but I did help with like 2 pieces, but they were huge. Huge.
We got to remember to take it back today. Probably should take it back to Valley Equipment Rental. But yeah, I mean they're like family. You know what I mean? I mean Ross, they're like your family. They're like our family. They're family. Valley Equipment Rental. They're local folks. You go in. I mean it was we needed a hand cart, and it was like immediate. And I just called Ross. I can't call the owner of some big national rental company. I just called the owner and said, "Hey, I got to send the guys down to pick up a hand cart." All right. Calls the desk and tells them they're coming. You know, that's just the kind of people they are. All right, Valley Equipment Rental. All right, joining us now, talk some football, talk some basketball, as we're getting things started tonight right here on our air against Louisiana Tech. We're the Crimson Tide, and joining us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, Joey Blackwell from BamaCentral.com. Joey, welcome back. How are you?
Doing all right, Tom. How are you?
I am fantastic. Looking forward to the start of basketball season, which, I don't know, I guess it's not early. It just always shocks me when it comes, because I always, in my head, I've always thought, like, around Thanksgiving, you know, tournaments and the week before Thanksgiving and things like that. But when it starts on November 9th, it's kind of like a stunning, it's like a shock to the system that the basketball season is here.
Yeah, especially, with the season being delayed last year a little bit because of COVID. For some reason, I had in my head that it was going to start later, but then obviously things started picking up about a month or so ago, and I was like, wow, it's just around the corner. But basketball season is my favorite season to cover. I always look forward to it, and really excited to get things going tonight for an Alabama team that's looking like it's going to be a really good team this year.
Ranked 14th in the country going in. That's, they haven't been ranked like that going in some 10 years or so. Nate Oates, making a commitment. A lot of people were fearful that he could have been gone after the great year last year, but no, he's not going anywhere, and this team just continues to get better and better, it looks like. But they lose a lot. I mean, they're losing some real studs. A new front court, but that's almost a misnomer with this team, the way they play. You look at the backcourt. There is experience in the backcourt and some new dudes in the front court. So set us up with what we're looking at here. What kind of team are we looking at?
Well, it starts off with the guys that they lost. Of course, they lost Josh Primo to the draft. They lost John Teddy to the G League. Herbert Jones, obviously, the SEC Player of the Year. He's going to be gone. So they really have a lot of places they need to have the guys step up. But fortunately, Oaks was able to reload the roster, and they look like they can do that. You have Charles Bediako coming in at center. as a freshman. He's 7 foot tall, and he still might still have a little bit more room to grow.
Is he really only 215 pounds? I would think your bones would weigh 215 pounds if you were 7 foot. I mean, you and I, we were 215 once. It was like the 9th grade, I think. I don't know, but
my ideal weight's like 200, and I am far above that.
I mean, somebody's got to be assigned to hold this guy's hand in the shower so he doesn't go down the drain. I mean, 7 foot 215. I mean, crazy.
So you can definitely use some weight to put on his bones. But he's still a freshman. He's still got time to develop that. And then alongside him, another big they have is Alex Chiku, who of course was out for the season last year with a torn Achilles. But this year he's back. He will be gone the first 2 games of the season just because of a suspension that we're not sure what happened. But Oates made the announcement that Chiku won't be around for the first couple of games. And then, of course, the big addition, at least in my opinion, was the Furman transfer, Noah Gurley. He's a guy that played well against Alabama on a couple of occasions, did a great job with them, and he's kind of with Chiku being out for the first couple of games. He kind of reminds. Sorry, let me rephrase that. With Chiku being out last year, we saw Yale transfer Jordan Bruner come in, and I'm kind of seeing Noah Gurley do a similar thing this year. Kind of coming in and taking over because he's a grad transfer with a lot of leadership. I'm seeing him having a big impact. But that's as far as the front court. Moving on. Sorry, my thing just started playing. Moving on to the back court, obviously the losses of Petty and Primo, there's a lot going on, a lot to be missed there. But at the same time, you have the leading scorer from last year, Jaden Shackelford, come back. He tested the NBA draft waters. He entered his name in the portal. But he still has come back. Javon Quinterly will have an even bigger role than he did last year, and Javon Quinterly was on fire.
Love that kid. Yeah, love that kid. Yeah.
Yes, and he's going to be back, and he's going to be better than ever. Obviously, J.D. Davison is one of the. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of buzz around Alabama basketball, regardless. But J.D. Davison really kind of took that buzz to a factor of 11. McDonald's All-American. He is also the top recruit to come out of the state of Alabama since Colin Sexton. So just Namari Burnett will be injured and out for the year, but fortunately they have a lot of players that can pick up that slack. And finally, a player that most people weren't talking about, a month ago is Keon Ellis. But over the past month, you've seen Quinterly and Shackelford both talk about how he got snubbed when he wasn't named preseason All-SEC. And everybody was like, well, Keon Ellis, really? Like, he played well last year, but he didn't have a lot of minutes. But after, he led Alabama in points this past, charity exhibition game. It's looking like Keon Ellis is going to have a huge season. A good time for him to have one as a senior. So just all around, a lot of really good players. I think they're going to be able to fill in the gaps that are missing from the departures of the key players from last year. And will Alabama win the SEC tournament? Remains to be seen. But they definitely have the tools to get them there.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season for Alabama basketball. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's take a look at the football team and just more head-scratching. It's so weird because we're talking about a team that's probably going to stay in the 2-hole tonight in the national rankings, but that a lot of that has to do with a standard that has been set over the last 10 or 12 years. But it is so head-scratching when you look out there and you see – 12 men on the on a punt return team, or you see them lining up in an illegal formation and or jumping off sides, all these pre-snap type mental errors and so on. Mm-hmm. It's just, guys, I counted Brian Robinson missing 3 blitz pickups. He almost got the quarterback killed. And, it just seemed like some obvious stuff there where there's a lack of communication. I know that they lost their center during the game, Delcourt, and Owens had to move over there, but he's played there before in big games. It's just weird watching the team being so dysfunctional, if you will.
Yeah, dysfunctional is a good way to put it. They acted kind of discombobulated out there as well, like the very poor communication, which we've seen over the course of the season. The communication between everybody get much better, but these past couple of games have been a little frustrating. But I think that Dalcourt going down and moving Chris Owens and having Damian George at right tackle was bigger than a lot of people realized. The funny thing about it was once they got on the field and had a few snaps, they seemed to be gelling pretty well in the second quarter and seemed to have gotten everything under control. But then as we saw the game go on in the third and fourth quarter after halftime, they really just kind of became dysfunctional again. So it was very confusing to see that. You're right, absolutely right with Brian Robinson. He missed some blitz pickups. The line in general was allowing mistakes left and right and players to split through, which resulted, of course, in Bryce Young being sacked 4 times. It's remarkable to think how highly we spoke of Alabama prior to Saturday's game, and then after the game, of course, they only had 6 rushing yards and 26 attempts, which is the lowest ever by a Nick Saban coached Alabama football team. So it's remarkable to see that turnaround. Now, fortunately, they do have a game against New Mexico State this weekend that hopefully gets them back on track, because there's a talented Arkansas team and a strong Auburn team coming up in these next couple of weeks. But still, a lot of work needs to be done this week if they still want to make that playoff.
You just want to see a clean game. You know what I mean? You just want to see them play clean, and then you could say, all right, they played clean and they got beat, or by a better team. I have had people ask me, and I don't have the answer. I'm not as close to it as you are when you're seeing it, but a lot of people have said, wait a minute, didn't they have like the number 1 recruit, offensive tackle, and or the top 2 offensive tackles, and J.C. Latham and Tommy Brockemeyer, and then and the Brockemeyer brother that was the number 1 center in the nation. And how come we don't see any of these guys? We've seen freshmen play year after year in the Alabama offensive line. A lot of times they'll start at right tackle and end up the left tackle, and so on. Give me an update on J.C. Latham and the Brockemeyer boys. That it seems like they're just very much buried, on the depth chart right now.
Well, what's really funny is that we were allowed to attend the first 2 practices of preseason, and before that there were some COVID scares and we weren't allowed to go anymore. And when we went there, they had Chris Owens lined up at center, and they had Dalcourt at right tackle, which made sense given that Chris Owens took over at the end of last season for Landon Dickerson, and it made a lot of sense because he was pretty successful. I mean, they won both their playoff games with him at starting center. But then, and right behind him, they had J.C. Latham and the Brockemeyers. So it made sense that they were kind of, okay, that's their first line, that we're going to see these guys, and they're probably late in games. But then, of course, game 1 comes along, and they have Dalcourt at center and Chris Owens at right tackle, which confused the heck out of a lot of us because that's not what we were thinking we were going to see. As far as J.C. Latham and the Brockemeyers go, you're absolutely right. These are players that could start, particularly J.C. Latham. I mean, the guy's a stud. He could definitely, I think, start, unless there's something internally going on that we don't know about. Obviously, I don't exactly have all the connections there, but I do know that Latham could start, and it's kind of worrisome now why they haven't started him, especially now that there's injuries up and on offensive line. Dalcourt's still day-to-day right now. We don't know if he's going to be starting, so maybe we'll actually get to see them against New Mexico State, get to see Latham and at least Tommy, maybe James as well this weekend. But until that's said, it is a conundrum. You like to rotate your offensive line, and they really haven't rotated linemen this year as often as they normally do, which of course leads to a tired offensive line and leads to 6 yards rushing. So. And a lost back. So hopefully they'll be able to, kind of utilize the rotation. It's almost as if Saban doesn't have a lot of faith in his 2 linemen. But hopefully maybe they'll be able to prove them wrong this weekend should they be able to get on the field.
Now, that is one thing. The 6 yards rushing, I mean, that's been the national narrative, certainly. And I said it on Monday in my commentary that, to be honest, it was like 57 yards rushing or 64 yards rushing or something like that. And then the sacks, there was, I think there was over 40 yards in sack yardage, or no, 50 yards, 49 yards, something like that in sack yardage, and it comes off the rushing number. Why it doesn't come off the passing number, I don't understand, or in its own category, I don't understand. But it wasn't like they lined up, ran the ball 26 times, and only got 6 yards. It was bad, but it wasn't quite that bad. We want to make sure that people understand that part of it. Now, the flip side of all of this is Will Anderson. And, I mean, this may be the best player in the country, period, end of story. We want to talk about who's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner and which quarterback and this quarterback and that quarterback. Maybe the answer is Will Anderson. He won't get it because they don't give it to the best player in the country. They give it to the best quarterback or running back in the country. But do you think Will Anderson actually maybe even gets an invite to New York, because he's unbelievable how good he is, right? I mean, he could go to the NFL this year. He's going to wait another year, but he literally is that good right now.
Yeah, I've always defined the Heisman as there's a character aspect, which they always tout, but then there's also, I view it as a trophy that's awarded to the player that can best impact the game and has the most impact on games. And Will Anderson is that player for Alabama. Without Will Anderson, their defense is not where it is today. And I know a lot of people have a lot of qualms with defense, but not a single person that I know has a problem with Will Anderson himself. I mean, the guy is remarkable. He had 12 tackles this past week and 1.5 sacks. He was all over the field. He also had a pass breakup and quarterback hurries, and he was just unbelievable as always. I think he deserves to get at least an invite to New York. I know that winning the Heisman, the odds are incredibly stacked against him being a defensive player, but I think he at least deserves an invite. If the voters this year actually watched his film, no doubt they'd be impressed. But unfortunately, it's such an offensive-heavy trophy. I don't really know if it would happen. But that being said, the guy is fully deserving. I mean, he's getting to the point now where you can't ignore him and what he's done at Alabama so far this year, and even moving on from his skills on the football field, he's just a great leader. I mean, this kid was almost a leader on the defense as a freshman last year, and then now he's a sophomore, younger than half the defense, and all of them are still looking up to him and trying to follow his example. And the guy could step on an NFL field tomorrow, and I think be just fine. But it's kind of scary to see, for opponents, just what this kid can do, because he still has one more year at Alabama before he can move on. And if he continues to escalate like he has between his freshman and sophomore years, next year is going to be a really scary year for opposing offensive lines and quarterbacks.
Yeah, and that leadership thing is huge, because if the offense is spotty, and I don't necessarily agree with Pat Forty, we'll get to him in a moment, but the offense certainly has sputtered here and there, and the offensive line struggles here and there. But the one thing that could bring things back into focus would be if they can play great defense, if they can get guys in position and do great things and be game wreckers. And you can't do that with one guy coming off the edge, but one guy coming off the edge maybe can influence the rest of that defense to be great. And it probably is going to take that at the end of the day, maybe if this team has any aspirations of getting through Georgia and being able to get into this playoff and make some noise, it might be led by defense, and it might be led by that guy.
Yeah, and it should also have Alabama fans, shaking their fist at the sky, about Chris Allen being injured, because if we had Will Anderson, Chris Allen is not the same, talent level as Will Anderson, but he was by far the second best edge rusher on the team. So it makes you wonder just how effective this defense could have been this year. Maybe all of its woes could have been solved had they had Chris Allen on the other edge. But you're absolutely right. This team isn't, a defense can't center itself around one man, because if you can neutralize that one man, you neutralize the entire defense. And so I'm kind of, concerned to see how Auburn, particularly, and Georgia, if Alabama makes it Georgia, which I think they will, take that approach, because if they can nullify Will Anderson, then this defense becomes, all of a sudden has a lot of holes in it.
Yeah. One of the holes to me has been the play of Henry To'oTo'o. He makes some splash plays, and I'm not in the film room, so I don't know exactly what their scheme was on various things, but I spent an awful lot of time looking at defensive film over my years as a coach, and I think he was responsible for, first of all, the fake punt. I think that's his responsibility to be dropping into that middle zone there. He bought and sucked up into that thing. They've got linebackers, they've got interior guys. Somebody has to be responsible when you read fake for the guy leaking out. And I think that was his responsibility there. He didn't get back fast enough, and I think it was his responsibility on the touchdown on that drive when they went down the field and then scored, where he was just covering grass. He just running around in the middle of the field. But we've seen it time and time again, not just with him, but there are other guys that seem to be out of position, miscommunications, guys wide open, and that's what's maddening, and that's what has people so jacked up about Pete Golding. But we all know that this is still a Nick Saban defense, and you've got to believe that Nick Saban spends an awful lot of time with that defensive staff.
Yeah, no, I think the linebackers in general, not the outside linebackers, but the interior linebackers like Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris, they've had a lot of issues this year. And I've said this before on your show, but they're out of position a lot. It seems like they're away from the ball a lot. They can't track quarterbacks as well, particularly Christian Harris, because at least we got to see Christian Harris last year, and he had a really solid year as a sophomore. and now that he's coming about this year, he was highly touted before the season as one of the best linebackers in the SEC, and this year he's been incredibly quiet. We haven't really seen a lot from him. Toto, the same deal. I didn't think that Toto was going to have as big an impact as a transfer this year as he has. But at the same time, he's out of position a lot, and he fails to wrap up on tackles. He misses tackles. When he blitzes, he can't get past the line very often. I mean, he does sometimes, but most of the time that's Will Anderson that will break through.
Yeah.
But Toto has had a lot of struggles this year, and going back to Golding, everybody likes to blame Golding for a lot of these problems, and Nick Saban can do no wrong. But at the same time, defensive backs have also really struggled this year. They've had a lot of blown coverages, and people need to remember that it's Nick Saban that coaches the defensive backs unit. So, that's his baby, and we've seen them also have a lot of issues this year. I know that'll probably make a lot of Alabama fans angry that I said that, but it's the truth. Nick Saban's defensive back coach. Defensive backs haven't been up to par this year, so definitely need to step up there.
And they can do it physically. It's the miscommunication that drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's not about physical. And the other part of it is all the grabbing. The grabbing, the holding, the interference. I mean, my God, I know they work on that stuff all the time, but that's just undisciplined when you're just constantly grabbing. And it seems to be, we see it over and over again with some of these DBs that just can't keep their hands off the receivers.
Yeah, that, and going back to it kind of translates over to also how they tackle. There was one play in particular, I think it was in the third quarter against the LSU game, where it was they made first. It was a pass to the outside. I can't remember. I think it was third and 5, I believe. And there was a pass to the outside. The Alabama defender makes contact. If he had tackled him where he'd originally made contact, it would have been 4th and 4. LSU would have punted. But instead, I think he slipped off of him, grabbed his leg, and he ended up going down and making it 4th and 1. LSU went for it, then they got the first down. And it's little things like that people don't realize can completely change the course of the game. If the team is able to repeatedly do that, then they're able to get those first downs. They're able to translate that into points. Fortunately, LSU was not able to translate as many opportunities as they had into points, particularly in the fourth quarter, because that could have gone south for Alabama real quick in a hurry. But, yeah, it's the miscommunication and then poor tackling. And it's kind of funny because heading into the season, I thought that this team on paper could have been the best defense Alabama's had in over a decade. I remember saying that on your show and other shows.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable to see the turnaround that we've had this year and how just disappointing it's been, because they have the talent, they have the strength, they have the physical capabilities to be an incredible defense, but it has just been poor execution after poor execution the entire year.
Still time to put all of that together. Joey Blackwell with us from Bama Central. All right, so now that we've beaten them up, and clearly they won't even be ranked in the top 25 tonight when the poll comes out, let's shift gears. Your colleague from Sports Illustrated, Pat Forty, I've got great respect for Pat, but he put his poll out this morning, and he got Alabama 5 and Cincinnati 2, and his reasoning seems to be one thing for Alabama and another thing for Cincinnati. He talked about Alabama not having the best offense in the SEC, even though they lead the SEC in scoring per game, which last I saw still is how we determine a winner, is by points. And they lead the SEC in points per game by 5 points over Georgia. Their defense is 4th in the SEC in points allowed, 2nd in yards allowed to only Georgia. So they're right near the top in both, if not at the top in both. Cincinnati is 3rd in scoring in their popcorn conference there, the American Conference, which has only one ranked team. They are at the top of the heap there defensively, but he points out that Alabama was just uninspired and sloppy in the LSU game, and then puts Cincinnati at 2, who had to have a goal line stand against a 3-win Tulsa team, a conference game, to win that game. And they didn't look good against Tulane, and they didn't look good against Navy. Half the teams in the SEC, the upper half of teams in the SEC, is blowing Navy, Tulane, and Tulsa away in those games. And, I don't understand, I guess, the standard is different, it seems like, when we're looking at how we should view Cincinnati and how we should view Alabama. What's your thought?
Well, Alabama is very fortunate that Cincinnati had struggles this past weekend, because if they hadn't, Alabama might be dropping a 3 this week. But Fortunately for Alabama, a lot of teams that were in the top 25 struggled this past week. So I see Alabama staying at 2. But going to Pat Forty's rankings, I've kind of always viewed his rankings as more of a power rankings than legitimate rankings, just because, Alabama did struggle this past week, so they do deserve the bulk of the spots. If you're looking at it from a power rankings perspective, not from a who's the best team in the country perspective. But, I've kind of discounted those rankings for a while now, just because I remember, I think it was his first one that he came out this year. He had Alabama, it was like a couple of weeks into the season. He had Alabama at 4, and he had both Oregon and Cincinnati above them then. I was like, Oregon? Are we serious right now? We're putting Oregon above Alabama?
Right.
And that was back when Alabama was the number 1 team in the country in the AP. That was prior to when they lost to Texas A&M. And obviously, they don't deserve to be 1 anymore. Georgia's far and above. I don't think anybody will argue with that Georgia's the best team in the country right now.
Right.
But it's still just, I respect the work that Pat Forty does, but at the same time, some of the things like this make me scratch my head just a little bit, because Cincinnati, I like Cincinnati just because oftentimes I'll root for chaos, just to see how things go. But when your only notable win is against a 10-ranked Notre Dame team that's highly underperformed this year, it's kind of hard to hang your hat on that if that's the only thing that you have.
Well, it's a good win. It's a good win, but it's a win. You'll play your whole season for 1 game, whereas these other teams are week in and week out and week in and week out. You look at Auburn's schedule. Cincinnati lose 3 or 4 of those games. 3 of those games anyway. Yeah. If you go from playing LSU to playing Georgia to playing Texas A&M, 90,000 people, all of those things to me factor in. You got to take the environment. I mean, they played Tulane in front of 18,000 people. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? It's like a high school game in Texas. I mean, it's just all of those things to me add up. And I just think we're talking apples and oranges. And I know I'm a Power 5 snob. I'm embracing my snobbiness. But it is what it is, man.
No, I completely agree. The point that my point that I was going to make was what you just made, and it was that I'd like to see Cincinnati come into the SEC, not in a literal sense, but I'd like to see them play an SEC schedule and see where they ended up, because I guarantee they would probably be 7-5, 8-14. They would win. They would be bowl eligible, but having to play these top teams, there's no way that they go undefeated in the conference. There's no way they have at max 10 wins, I would think. It's just
we'll see what happens when they go to the Big 12. I mean, you're going to see it in the 12 even, It's just the way it is. Yeah, right. All right, so let's end where we started on the basketball. Does anybody have the stones to actually go up to J.D. Davidson and say, son, the hair? I mean, come on. Do you think the kid looks in the mirror every morning and gets done when it gets ready to walk out and says, "Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, this is a good look"? I mean, who is advising him about the hair? Because the hair is just it's going to get a lot of notoriety. There's no doubt about it. But the hair is kind of whacked. You know what I mean? Somebody has to say something to him.
It's funny. Yesterday he was actually rocking a different hairdo. It was
really
same length, but it was kind of come to the side instead of all poofy. So my good buddy, Tony Tsoukalis, who works for Rivals, he works for their Bama site, he actually asked him, what's with the new hairdo? And then JD disappointed all of us by telling us that, this is just for today for practice. The old JD will be tomorrow. And we were all like, no.
Yeah, I mean, the red tips, whatever it is he does that last 4 or 5 inches, on top. But, maybe it would look okay if it was like a high and tight, like if he like cut the sides down and just had he'd look like the lit thing, the little lit thing you do on Twitter, maybe just like his head's on fire or something. I don't know. But I'm just saying it's somebody has to. I can't believe the dude looks in the mirror and says, yeah, I'm good to go. And this is it.
Because guess what? Right now we're talking about J.D. Davidson and his hair. So I think
that's right. That's exactly right. Everybody will be saying, well, who is that guy with that flow, man? All right. Appreciate you as always. Joey Blackwell's been our guest. Joey, I appreciate it, man. We'll do it again.
Thank you so much, Tom.
All right. Thank you. All right. We'll get a break. Grizz is going to, for the basketball season, I understand that he is going to do his tips in red as well, so that he'll have a big red top on top.
I already started.
Yeah.
I'm going right now.
I see you got that working. I've decided to go gray on gray is what I'm going to do, I think, with mine. All right, we'll be back and wrap it up next on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Looking for a great deal? Well, I've got one for you. Thom Abraham here for Valley Equipment Rental. And at Valley Equipment, if you rent after 3 on a Friday or on a Saturday morning, you're not due back until Monday morning. So basically, you're getting the entire weekend for the price of one day. And if you're in the service or are a vet, they'll knock another 10% off. Valley Equipment is locally owned and involved in our community through charities and even supporting local teams. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. Stay tuned for info on where that will be and when it will open.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the end zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the end zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center.
One of the nation's most historic programs.
Tiptoeing down the right sideline, flips over, into the end zone, touchdown Army!
This is America's team.
Navari Bordeaux with a game-ending interception.
Army plays here on your home for Black Knights football, the Army Sports Network.
Listen to Army football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage, Bubby's Diner, Higher Echelon, and by Nick's Ristorante.
People stay just a little bit longer.
We got a longer.
We want to play.
And final segment of the show is brought to you by TOC Sports. For all your injury needs, it's TOC Sports. No matter how you got hurt. Maybe you got hurt picking out your fro like this J.D. Davison floated. He's got going on. Maybe, you throw your shoulder out or something doing that. Well, you go see the docs at TOC Sports. And if your regular doctor tells you that you really need to see an orthopedic, tell them you want to see the docs at TOC Sports. It works that easily, and they can take care of you just like that. I don't know. I don't understand it, Grizz. I mean, it's one of them things that just in my head, I've kind of come up with these things.
Yeah.
You get to an age, you know what I mean, where you get a certain you get set in your ways. You know that term, set in your ways?
Yeah.
You get set in your ways, and then you don't understand it. I used to say that to my kids sometimes that would have, if they had something goofy going on. And I would say, did you look in a mirror before you walked out and say, that's as good as it gets? I'm not a good-looking guy. I'm no guy that's, but I do the best I can. You know what I mean? I look and I say, okay,
Right.
this looks reasonable.
I just wear whatever. I try to dress to impress, but I've been told, even by Joe Hunk, that I dress like a coach. So,
Well,
and
you
I
dress
do.
fine.
Like
You
the
dress
khakis
fine.
and the polo, it's always
Yeah.
like that.
You dress fine, and
I
people
do.
have certain limitations with whatever dress fine. But your look, you know what I mean? It's about, your look. Like if you had your hair all long on one side, or I don't know, say you decided to shave the sides of your head and have
Yeah.
a mohawk that stands straight up in the air.
You're right.
That would look goofy, and you'd say you look goofy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything about anybody. I'm just saying I know a guy that, used to sit where you're sitting right there. That, you have that goofy
They love that in
thing.
Nashville.
Yeah, I bet they do. We're done. Coming up next, Chuck Oliver, and then Paul Feinbaum, and then The Drive at Furniture Factory, all right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right